Page 16, Country Gardens, very famous old melody. In this lesson, they're introducing the dotted eighth note. Dotted rhythms tend to cause some people problems sometimes, but really just don't make it difficult. It's not difficult. Any note can be dotted, and the rule works the same for all of them. A dotted note is a dotted note. Doesn't matter what the value is. The dot gets half the value of the note. It just makes the note last a little longer. We've already had dotted half notes. And in 3/4 time or 4/4 time, where a quarter note gets a count, a half note gets 2 counts, the dot gets half the value of the note, so a dot will get 1 count, so a dotted half note will get 3 counts. So you put the half note and the dot together. Okay. They all work the same way. The dotted eighth note, well, and we're dealing in 4/4 time here, so a quarter note gets a count. An eighth note gets half a count, so the dot gets half of half a count. Is that confusing or what? Or a fourth of a count. Now, different ways of counting it. The book says count 1 and 2 and 3, and they're counting eighth notes. And the 16th note comes in between 2 eighth notes, 1 and 2. So play a note. If I play eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and, but if I put a dotted eighth note in there, then that 16th note's going to come between the eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like so. Or I could play all eighth notes and add a 16th note. 1. Look at the top of the page on the second example there they give you, where they have an eighth note tied to a 16th note. Well, if I take out the tie and I play all the notes, this is what it is. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But if I tie it, I just hang it on to it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's a dotted rhythm. They show it on in the second row. There are the examples. They're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I disagree with that. I would not count it that way, because normally the count is the number that gets the beat. So in 4/4 time, you would be counting quarter notes, not 16th notes. They're counting 16th notes in here. For me, the way I do it, different people do it differently, but I do a 1 and a 2 and, because eighth notes are 1 and 2 and I just do an E. 1 and 2 and that represents 16th notes. So in that third example up there, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and So it comes on da or whatever. The last example, because sometimes the rhythm goes so quick you can't count it. You don't have time. 1 and 2 and blah, blah, blah. So you feel it. It's just a short note. It's not a grace note. A grace note is not rhythmic necessarily. A grace note is just a quick note. No, that's not dotted rhythm. So I don't recommend treating these dotted 16th or dotted eighth note, 16th note combinations as grace notes. Just the second example they show up above, the 1 and 2 and comes the closest. You have to be careful because it's easy to turn the dotted rhythm into a triplet. I don't know if we've had triplet yet, but if your 16th note is too long, the ba 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 ba, that it rocks. Ba dee da. If it rocks, it's a triplet. That's not what we want. Dotted rhythms are crisp, so the short note's got to be a little shorter than that. Ba ba ba, 1 and 2 and 3. Short. Just make sure that you don't turn them into triplets. So let's look at Country Gardens. It's 4 lines long, treble bass clef. There's no sharps or flats in the key signature. It's in the key of C major. If you're doing the scales, do C major. 4/4 time signature. I'm going to take it one hand at a time because both hands are busy and we're moving around a little bit. Right hand, start 4th finger on C, that puts the hand here. That's 1 and 2 and 3. So I already have that dotted rhythm. 2 and 3 Second measure, it's a 1 and then a 4. See, we have 2 Gs. We're changing hand positions on repeated notes. We do that a lot. Reach down. 1 and 2 and 3. See there, the last measure, the first line, you get a dotted quarter note. Well, it's the same thing. It's the quarter note gets a count. The dot gets half a count. So the 8th note comes on the end of 2. 1 and 2 and 3. Rest. Then you reach up or move up either way and do it again. Now in measure 5, they go on 5, 4. That's fine, you can do that. The reason is because you were here and if you reach up, it's easier to reach up and feel this than to reach all the way up and get a 4th finger on that. So you can just the idea is we're crawling around, so we don't have to look at the keyboard, so it's here. If you move, you can just use 4th finger on both. Now, measure 9, we're up here. Just make sure these 16th notes are short enough. 1 E and a 2 E and a. Go slow if you have to. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a. Do you get that feeling? Once you get the feeling of the dotted rhythms, you don't actually count it or any rhythm. You feel it. And that's the danger part, is because then you might start lengthening out the 16th note and you'll rock it. And that's rocking it. That's triplets, and that's incorrect. We want a crisp rhythm. Let's look at the left hand. The left hand's down here. They want here, and then cross over. You're saying, why not just use 5? Well, because in the second measure, then that would put us with thumb here and here. It's rather awkward. So it's just easier to use 4 here and here, because I can cross over. Might be a little awkward to cross over 4 now, but you're going to need to do it. So do the best you can. Don't twist around a little. Just relax. The thumb will move if you'll relax. It'll move, and you can come over a little bit, but not much. Third measure, 1 thumb. For that fingering, well, we can use it. They're just doing this 2-1-2-1 thingy, crossing over. That's fine. I would rather have a 2, 3, 4. 1. However, let's do this. This is good exercise. 2, 1, 2, 1. Now in the third line, measure 9, this is treble clef now, because you look at the end of the second line, they introduce a treble clef for the bottom step. So now you're up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you get an F sharp there, and then come down. And then at the end of the third line, they give you your bass clef back. So the last line is back in bass clef again, like you were at the beginning. Move around a little bit. So once I have an idea what the hands are doing, then I'll try and put them together. And I'll probably hesitate. That's okay. I don't care. I want to know how they're going together. 4th. Here. Now when I play the G, the left hand's got to come up. Rest. And then we do it again. Let's go to the third line, measure 9. Left hand's up here now, and it's 1. So the left hand's moving around, so you're playing in the right hand while the left hand's moving. Of course, you may have to look down at the keyboard while it's moving, but only look down long enough to see where you're going. Now, once I have the notes figured out, then I'll go back over it, maybe like a line at a time, and get rid of the hesitations. So it's a steady beat. You can keep it as slow as you need to, but no hesitations anywhere. And then I'll think about the articulation. This is fairly connected, but you can lift up for the phrases. Now sometimes they give you a rest, you have to lift up, so that works out. But here, connect all the... I suggest you connect that whole line together as best you can. I mean, there are different ways of interpreting this. I could do it like two measures at a time. I mean, there are curved lines, they're showing slurs and all, but I disagree with the phrase, because in the first line, lift up. To me, that doesn't quite fit. Now, I don't know what the words are, if the words to this, but I don't like... I mean, in some pieces, that sort of thing works. It's just, in my mind, this whole thing flows much better if you just connect it. And this is a rather quick piece. So I would just connect all that. Then you lift up, so you know a phrase, and you get a rest. You do it again. Now in the third line, now you can lift up, lift up, lift up. So in the third line, it's almost every measure, except the last two measures are together, except the last two eighth notes in measure, 12. That starts, it's a pickup to the phrase. So it connects to that. So in measure 12, end of phrase, and then lift up to a new phrase. In the last line, I'd connect all that together. The left hand, you just connect it here. They have phrasing here. I suggest if you can, connect it all. Rest. And the third line, those are staccatos. I'm flexing at the wrist is short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm on the key and I'm bouncing off. So I'll put in the articulation and then I'll think about the dynamics. MF at the beginning, that applies to the melody of the right hand. Mezzo forte or moderately loud, sort of loud. Not loud, just sort of loud. This needs to be in the background. Light, light. You see the hairpins of the last two measures of the first line. You're going to go up and back down. You're going to swell. There. That E is right down and down. So go down to here. The left hand just stays out of the way. Now measure 9, now you're loud. This in the background. The last two measures, you've gone up to loud. Poco allegando, I can't say it, means stretch it out a little bit, which has the effect of slowing it down a little. And that last measure, that right hand, that when you play the D, it's by itself. Here. Here. Yeah. And you're coming down to about a moderately loud to moderately soft at the end. If people are dancing to it, I don't know that I would want to slow down at the end because it tends to mess up the dancers. You just keep it the same speed. Now, as far as the speed goes, lively, it is an incident 1, 2. It has to be accurate. So what can you do? Find the hardest part in it, wherever it is. Wherever that, how fast can you do that accurately? And that's your lively for now. It can be faster later on when you get a little more experience and better at playing. Please don't copy me. It's just one way of doing it. Give me a couple cups of coffee. I'm sure I would play it quite differently. You feel it. Remember the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I'm exaggerating them so you can hear them better, but you feel these all the way through as you're doing it. Let's play this together very slowly and check your notes and rhythms. Now we're not performing it. I'm not doing the louds and softs. I'm just playing the notes and the rhythms. Now this is after you've learned it. Learn it first so you can at least play it slowly with no hesitations, or this won't work. If you have to do it one hand at a time, that's fine. I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go.